Welcome ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to take a look at the Nightblade tank build for Dragon Bones. But this is a dungeon build, and I also do have a written guide on my website if you want to find additional information about different set combos, buff food and everything. So as you can see, our stats in general are pretty nice. Make sure to have a little bit more stamina than Magicka, because if we pick up spears, bubbles, it will restore the amount that has a higher maximum. So in our case you want stamina, because stamina is our main resource for blocking. If we can't block, we will most likely die. When I activate this ability, we also get higher resistance. We'll get into that later. We're using the Lord Mundo Stone to increase our max health. Buff food wise, use the Tri-Stat one, and I recommend using those potions here. If you want to, if you have the money for it, they're really good. Especially combined with Argonian. Now, race, you want to make sure, well, most optimal is Argonian. Simply, you get more healing, you have 9% max health, and the resourceful passive. When you drink a potion, you restore 4620 health, magic, and stamina. That's just so much. So when we look at, let me just use a few abilities. I can show you. When I press the button now, the potion button, you see you get so much things back. It's insane. That's why Argonians are the best choice for a tanking setup on any class actually. However, stuff like Imperial, Red Guards, Kashyyyk Orcs obviously also work. I do recommend being a vampire, mostly for undeath passive, because you will get like a lot of damage reduction. However, be aware you will take a little bit more damage from fire skills, from enemy fire abilities. Like I previously said, I do have different gear setups on my website, and also make sure to not forget to subscribe, more videos in the future. Now the gear setup. Now here I chose to run Eben, 5-piece Eben, 5 Torux Pact and 2 Swarmodder. I do have more setups on my website, for example Eben and Alcast. I chose to run Torux because it's probably easier to get and most people have access to it. Now why Eben? This is a really nice group support set. It should be present in all groups. It increases the health of all your members, including yourself. So the chances that somebody dies is just lower. Really nice. I do have free block cost reduction on my jewelry. You really want to make sure to have free to really get the block cost down. Then the Torux Pact. You see, it decreases weapon enchantment cooldown and decreases potency by 30%. Is nice because we are using a crusher enchant front bar and a weakening enchant back bar. And we also have infused traits that in combination with Torux Pact really buffs our enchantments a lot. So you see, this here basically has 2740. It reduces the physical and spell resistance of enemies, and it basically procs on cooldown. So the moment it's over, you can proc it again because of Torux Pact, because it reduces the cooldown. Same here with weakening. This debuffs the enemy, so the enemy doesn't do a lot of damage anymore. I do like this set because it also kinda gives you practice in when you actually want to block, drop and light attack on the enemy to activate those enchantments. You can't block and light attack, you need to light attack without block, otherwise it won't work. So you need to learn to block the hard hitting abilities of enemies. And when they only hit when they only tickle you, you can light attack. Because you don't need to perma block. You just need to learn when to not block and when to block. Now in terms of traits, chest reinforced, then the legs infused, the head also infused. I do have Tri-Stat on the big pieces and health on the small pieces. The small pieces you also want sturdy on all pieces to reduce the cost of block. And here also infused Tri-Stat. The last set we are using is Swarm Mother. Now, because we don't have chains, like for example a DK, you really want to make sure to use this. This set can chain a lot of enemies to you. Makes it easier for your damage dealers just to stack all damage in a certain area and mobs die faster. If you want, you can use other sets. Keep in mind, those are only suggestions. They should give you an idea. Play around with the build, change things and keep going. If you don't want Toru packs, you also could use Alcast. Alcast set is a little bit more advanced and it's harder to get because you will need weapons here. So yeah, that's why I chose Torux. It's just easier to get. I think you need 2 or 3 traits to actually craft it, so it's pretty simple. Champion points. 40 precise, 73, 47. I have 120 here because of tactician, so when you roll dodge you set enemies off balanced. You don't need to do that a lot, but just, I mean, there's nothing else we can put points into. Most damage dealers have exploiter passive, so this will help a lot. Then 4 here and 76 into blessed. Shadow Ward is important because you need a lot of block cost reduction. Then 44 tumbling. Arcanist and tenacity. Arcanist is not that important, but tenacity is nice to have because you want to do heavy attacks to restore stamina. Bashing, Sprinter and Warlord. That's it here. Now here 25 in Expert Defender, 13 Heavy Armor Focus, 9 Bastion. 49, 49, 28 and 1 here and 66. Make sure you have a lot of like points in Ironclad because a lot of the damage you take are direct damage attacks. Skills. So a few interesting passives. Let me actually... The more of those skills you have slot, the higher your health gets. So you could technically stack more health if you want to. Shadow Barrier, the most important one. So when we use one of those abilities, this passive procs giving us Major Resolve and Major Ward, increasing our physical and spell resistance. For us, it's like a duration of 13 seconds. And this skill has a duration of 12 seconds. So basically, just keep it up and then you will always have the armor, like the resistance buff. Another thing, Catalyst, when you drink a potion, you get ulti faster, really nice. And you also get more max magicka if you want to slot one of those abilities on front or back bar. Just some other nice perks. Now other than that, make sure you have all one hand and shield passives. Heavy armor, medium armor, Windwalker and evocation. Because, I forgot to mention, we use 5 heavy, 1 medium, 1 light. Because of the Undaunted passive. When we have each type of armor, we get 6% more max resources. That's very important. Other than that, make sure fighter skill, major skill, undaunted, all passives and your racials, and of course the medicinal use, which increases your potions duration, which is very important. Now for skills. If you want, you can swap out skills. This is just how I set it up currently. Refreshing Puff. Now this heals you and your friendlies. It gives you speed buff and you also get the shadow barrier buff like I previously said, so you really want to have this. On top of that, it can also proc Soul Harvest, which I will get into in a second. Absorb Magic. Now when somebody hits you, it heals you for 18% of your max health. So if somebody has a really hard hitting ability, you can absorb it with this. Plus it gives you block cost reduction. You could swap this out if you really want to, because if you have really good healers, you don't really need this, and you don't also need the block cost, but it's just a nice heal, it can save you like really well. Pierce Armor, your main taunt, also applies Major Fracture and Major Breach, debuffing the enemy. Swallow Soul, now I mainly have this here because while slotted you gain minor vitality, increases your healing received by 8%. You also can spam this a little bit just to heal yourself. It will not heal for a lot, but at least a little bit. Then Spellsim. This is mostly here to recover Magicka. As you can see when I use abilities, my Magicka goes down pretty fast, but with Spellsim you actually can get it back quite fast. The healer still can heal you, and because you have so much health, you don't drop too much in health. Now, just keep in mind, there's a few things to note with Spellsim. After the exchange is complete, the cost of your next magic ability is reduced by 28. So you see, this costs 3,440. We use this, 2,457. So it's a lot cheaper. And also, the exchange reduces your healing done and damage shield strength by 50%. So the heals you put on yourself are reduced by 50%. Just keep that in mind. Soul Harvest. We don't use this ultimate. However, it is nice because you see, while slotted, anytime you kill an enemy, you gain 10 ultimate. And as long as you have Refreshing Path active, sometimes mobs will die from the damage. Then give you faster ultimate, so you can activate Aggressive Horn faster again. This is your main ultimate, supports your group a lot, costs 250 ultimate points, so it's very expensive. But if Soul Harvest procs a little bit in combination with the potion passive, with this here, the Catalyst, you will get there faster than other setups. Why is this so nice? You give basically 10% health, stamina, magicka to your group members, and on top you also buff them with Major Force, increasing the critical damage done by 15% for 10 seconds. So the health buff, like the stats increase buff, holds for 30 seconds, and the crit damage buff for 10. Keep that in mind. Back bar, Leeching Strikes. So you see, it costs 900 stamina, basically causing your light and heavy attacks to heal you for 1.7k health and restore 106 stamina for 20 seconds. You restore up to 4.3k additional stamina. Make sure to let this run out. It's a very effective way to keep, to help with sustain. Actually, your best way. Unless you're Argonian, then the potion is also nice. But keep this up all the time. Make sure to not activate it before it runs out. If you activate it before it runs out, you will not get the 4.2k additional stamina at the end. Keep that in mind. Heroic Slash debuffs the enemy with minor maim, reducing the damage done by 15%. Also gives you faster ultimate regeneration, giving you minor heroism. So you have to do a lot of weapon swapping. Keep all the buffs on the enemy. You need to have taunt up, you need to have this up. There's a lot to do, and you want to keep weapon swap to light attack to let your enchantments proc. Keep them up as much as possible. Mirage. Now you don't necessarily need this, so you could swap it out if you want to, but I do think it's nice because it gives you major evasion. So you have a chance of 15% to dodge attacks. Pretty nice. And it also gives you the minor ward and resolve, increasing your physical resistance a little bit. Inner Rage. This is your range taunt. Only use this if you need to taunt mobs on range. Otherwise use Pierce Armor, because you still want to debuff the enemies. Energy Orbs. This is mostly here to support your group as well. Damage dealers, healers. If they pop the synergy from those bubbles, they will get 4k magicka or stamina back, depending on whatever their highest resource is. Most people have bad, or most groups have bad sustain because there's not enough bubbles or spears. And this way you actually can help a lot as a tank. Just maybe every 10 to 15 seconds pop 1-2 bubbles, doesn't have to be more. But it will help tremendously. So that's my Nightblade tank setup. Keep in mind, you can change around skills. If you want to use Bolstering Darkness to get 60% damage mitigation, for 18 seconds, then go for it. Use it. Like, it's up to you. I just hope you understood the idea behind the build, that you can kind of start planning around that, find ideas and all that kind of stuff. If you do have any questions, please ask me in the comment section below. Make sure to not forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. Cheers.